Hello, and thank you for taking the time to listen to an overview of our project proposal for the University of Nebraska Lincoln District use case. My name is Katrina Keller, a senior on the team, and we are honored to be representing Illinois State University in this year's Solar District Cup competition. We would like to give a special thanks to our faculty advisors, Dr. Jin Zhou and Dr. Matthew Alderman, both are professors in the Department of Technology at ISU. Also, thank you to Angie Stetter from Straight Up Solar, who provided guidance on our designs modeled in Aurora and Helioscope. All the team members are sustainable and renewable energy majors at ISU, but are diverse in having a minor or second major. We are all members of a campus organization, the Renewable Energy Society. To make the project streamlined and work more efficiently, we divided the project into 5 subsections, which is shown on the right. Senior Caitlin led the design section with the assistance of Austin and Jacob. Additionally, she contributed to the development plan, which she will also be presenting on today. I led the distribution portion, which I will be discussing with you shortly. The financial analysis was completed by James Smith, who will be presenting today, but was also assisted by Senior Oliver. Oliver will be presenting on the battery storage portion. And lastly, Senior Brittany will be discussing our agrivoltaic system design and incorporation of community engagement in our proposal.
Our proposal consists of solar designs across 10 buildings, 3 carports, and an agrivoltaic system that are located across the Easton City campus. To start our designs, we ran a preliminary assessment of all the buildings' possible production compared to consumption. We choose to only include the buildings that have the potential to offset 20% or higher. The rooftop designs were created using Aurora, whereas the carport and agrivoltaic system were designed in Helioscope. To achieve the optimal design for energy production, we began by fluctuating the modules' tilt angle, row spacing, and module spacing in order to see its effects on production. We chose a 10-degree tilt angle, half an inch between the modules, and 18 inches between the rows. Lastly, we used the irradiance tool in Aurora to make sure all modules had over 80% solar access year-round. This would help make sure all modules had enough access for a high production. The table on the screen shows the detailed data from all of our designs. This includes the carport and the agrivoltaic system. The table shows each building's energy offset and system size. The building that has the largest offset of 64.9% is our carport design that is connected to the KCR building on the East Campus. One of our buildings did not meet the 20% minimum, but is still included, is the animal science building. Due to the large consumption that the building has, the 18% offset is still helpful in reducing the university's energy usage. The total production for the year is almost 5 gigawatt hours of energy. This has the potential of offsetting 19% of the consumption for the buildings that were given. We feel this is a large energy offset for the campus and truly shows the campus's involvement to a cleaner future.
An agrivoltaic system is shared land space between active agricultural production and photovoltaic modules. It's a relatively new system. All the studies that we looked at for our design encourage further research. Therefore, our agrivoltaic system is intended to be researched by students and faculty involved in the campus farm. Each system is set to be spaced apart so that the density of the solar panels is only 15% of the total land area. This ensures that the crops beneath will get the other 85% of the solar access. UNL's East Campus farm area is surrounded by built infrastructure, leaving nowhere to replace this farming area if the fields are negatively affected by the solar modules. Our main goal with this system was to ensure the prosperity of the crops first. The top pictures are Helioscope software models of our system, and the bottom pictures are from a study comparing agrivoltaic systems to full sun control fields. The bottom right is an example of the structure we envisioned implementing for the UNL farm. This design does not use any concrete and does minimal damage during construction. In total, this area will be able to produce over 500 megawatt hours annually. We feel this is a great place to start the research, and if all goes well, we would encourage UNL to add to the system, furthering agrivoltaic research. They could even disseminate the results and what crops go best under the system to Nebraskan farmers to help diversify their incomes and become more climate change resilient.
The goal of the battery storage was to sustain the critical load of 30% or $2 million of inventory. The battery system was set to withstand an outage for 4 hours, and our system has just under an 80% probability to survive the full 4 hours. Our main tool that we used for the battery analysis was Reapp Lite. Our information was taken from the design analysis, as well as the information that was supplied within the competition rules. The electrical load data was combined from the data taken from the north and south meter. Our goal was resilience, so the net present value is just over negative $400,000. We believe that this is a reasonable number since the system will be sustaining $2 million in inventory. Our battery is comprised of 6 Samsung prismatic MA994E2 cells that are arranged horizontally.
The process flow of the methodology we used to perform the distribution analysis section is shown on the right. We began by designing the PV systems that complied with industry standards and evaluated the DC and AC capacity of those system designs. We verified that the AC capacity of the design systems did not exceed the AC capacity of the low voltage end of the transmission line we plan to connect the PV systems to, which we found from the given master OpenDSS code of UNL. The next step was to define the load shapes in PV systems in OpenDSS code, which is shown by the first 2 examples of code in the bottom left. For designs generated in Helioscope, we referenced the irradiance profiles generated from the software, but for the Aurora solar designs, we used the irradiance data from the NREL National Solar Radiation Database, which assumes worst-case scenario irradiance. We ran the simulation in OpenDSS, and if the PV systems caused any under or over voltage issues, we started back at the first step by reconfiguring the design. The process was repeated until all the PV systems implemented had no negative impacts on UNL's distribution system. A risk for our distribution system we found was that the per unit voltage dropped out of range significantly below the 0.95 voltage minimum as the distance increased. We implemented a smart inverter control and tried to control the PV systems individually by defining the per unit voltage minimum of 0.95 and a maximum of 1.05 in each PV system definition. However, this still did not resolve our issue. Therefore, we proposed that a new transformer and transmission lines would need to be implemented to decrease the load on the current transformers and substation to mitigate this large voltage drop. Pictured is where we would suggest a new transformer be constructed, and it would be able to withstand at a minimum the 2 closest and largest proposed PV systems, the animal science and agrivoltaic systems. We feel that the designs of our PV systems are realistic and can be implemented with modifications to the current distribution system to not only benefit UNL financially, but also help them reach their sustainability goals.
Hello, I'll be talking about the financial analysis. To start off, I would like to talk about the contract that we are proposing to the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. The contract will take the form of a PPA or power purchase agreement. In this case, the university will purchase energy from the project company at a given rate. All the university is in charge of is making sure they pay monthly bills just like they were already doing previously. It is up to the project development company to come in and build the distributed generation solar system on the university's buildings that has already been modeled using Aurora Solar. The project development company will take on the project costs, including construction fees and operation and maintenance throughout the 20-year period of the proposed agreement. To make sure that the project company could take on the initial capital of the project, we plan on teaming up with an outsider investor that will help provide capital for paying back loans that we take out to pay for the initial construction fees. This agreement between the investor and the project company will take the form of a partnership flip, as you can see on the slide. Essentially, before we take out the project loan, we will come to an agreement with an investor that is reasonable for both parties. In this case, we will agree on a 7.5% tax equity hurdle rate, which is the investor's agreed upon rate, which expects a return on investment. The investor will be getting the majority of the tax benefits, which include the federal ITC and market depreciation in the first 6 years of the project, which will decrease the reliability. For all 13 systems, the equity lesser hurdle rate was met with matching IRRs, meaning that the project had a reasonable return on investment. With both the equity lesser hurdle rate and IRRs matching at 7.5%, it means that all systems are desirable to the investor or shadow party. The investor is receiving the tax benefits, such as the ITC from the project, which reduces their tax reliability. The project developer is getting the necessary capital for the projects, and the University of Nebraska-Lincoln is getting cost savings from purchasing solar energy monthly without investing in panels, operation, maintenance, construction costs, etc. Once the investor hits their target IRR of 7.5% and a reasonable return on investment, the partnership flip occurs and the rest of the revenue from the project goes to the project developer, company, or sponsor. 6 out of the 13 proposed systems that we plan on implementing on various buildings throughout East and City campuses have PPA prices that are below the utility price. This means that 6 of the buildings that we are proposing for this project have a positive NPV customer savings of $1.1 million. The remaining systems have a bit higher PPA prices than the local utility due to the need to meet a 7.5 IRR for for the tax equity investor. These systems do lose the campus just over $100,000 in energy costs. However, the total NPV of customer savings for all 13 systems come out to over $900,000 over the 20-year lifespan of the project. The university has the option to opt out of the 7 systems that provide negative cost savings, but given that the savings of all 13 systems in total save near $1 million, and also the campus's mission to go green and be a beacon of sustainability to other colleges, they could choose to keep all the systems and benefit from the savings and the environmental aspects of the panels.
The development plan was completed in compliance with the City of Lincoln regulations. You can see our construction timeline that was based off the template provided for us. We modified the timeline to make sure we were structuring it as accurately as possible. Our construction timeline is expected to be completed in 21 months. The first 11 months will be focused on permitting, zoning, financials, and engineering development. We took into consideration the soil analysis and visual inspections that would need to be completed for the agrivoltaics. Based on the town's handbook, the plan development can take anywhere between 15 to 18 months. But with UNL being a huge impact in the community and already progressing towards sustainability goals, we believe this process can be expedited. Construction for the roof and ground mount systems will take place between April to December, so that the majority is to be completed during the off months when there is less activity on the campus. The construction will begin with roof mounts and carport PV systems, then finish with the agrivoltaics in the fall/winter when harvest season is over for the year.
Getting the community involved is a huge part of the UNL Environment, Sustainability, and Resilience Master Plan, as it should be. Sustainability requires collective action to be effective. We have 2 ideas to support community involvement. First, we wanted to start an Adopt a Flower initiative. Around campuses, you can sometimes see benches, trees, or bricks donated in honor of specific people or organizations, and our idea takes the system to the next level. To combine community engagement and sustainability, the Adopt a Flower program is where graduates, organizations, businesses, or the university itself can donate a smart flower to be placed on campus. Each smart flower can produce between 3.4 and 6.2 megawatt hours annually. So when the community comes together, they can really make a difference. This way, when people visit for sporting events or other university activities, they can walk around campus and see their smart flower in action. Our next idea is placing solar stations outside of each building that has a solar array. Since people from the ground don't really get to admire the solar modules on the roof or carports, these solar stations will display images of the system, statistics like current or year-to-date production and fossil fuel offsets, as well as ways to get involved in sustainability efforts at the university. We feel these solar stations will be a great way to get the word out and educate people about UNL's commitment to sustainability. UNL's Environment, Sustainability, and Resilience Master Plan has a triple bottom line initiative in the energy section of the document: planet, productivity, and people. And we can show how our project highlights each of these main points. For planet, our designs total nearly 5 gigawatt hours of energy annually. And I know our slide says pounds, but they will offset over 3,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide every year. Apologies for that mistake. Our systems will also offset a larger percentage of each building's energy as UNL implements more of their sustainability efforts, such as reducing hours of AC system operation. Looking at productivity, UNL can expect to save nearly $1 million over the 20-year PPA. And for people, we implemented the community engagement plans we talked about on the last slide. The main goal of the 2020 master plan is to create a full roadmap by 2025 to guide UNL to net zero emissions by 2050. We hope by increasing the amount of visible solar will inspire people to be involved in the Environment, Sustainability, and Resilience Stakeholder Council. In closing, we believe this is a fully comprehensive and inclusive district-wide project. We are certainly proud to share our ideas with a university that has the drive to make such a bold call to action. Thank you for hearing our presentation, and we're ready for your questions.